No, my first guest this morning is something a little bit more prosaic. And when I talk about, now here's somebody who didn't attend the local government or isn't at the local government New Zealand conference. I think it's 2 or 3 days in actual fact. All of the expenses are paid by their councils. None of the LG people, NZ people attending pay for themselves. The councils pay for everything. They pay for their travel. Wow, on Air New Zealand today, that's just exorbitant. I mean, you may as well go to Switzerland. They pay for their accommodation, nice hotels, thank you very much. They pay for all their meals. Some of them will even be paying for the alcohol because they're arguing that this is part of their necessary social concourse. And God knows what other expenses will be claimed for that. And what's going to be achieved from this conference in Wellington? The same thing that's been achieved for year after year, decade after decade, by these earnest profiteers. And it is nothing. Yes, I know, just moan, go home. Moan, go home. And it just costs their ratepayers an awful lot of money. Well, talking about an awful lot of money, let me introduce you to, as I said, our next guest. And the reason I've got on is because this is very much a freedom of speech thing. We've had him on the show before, and he has been one of those people, I think, very much at the forefront of dissent against, if you like, wokeness in local government in New Zealand. Extraordinarily popular councillor, I think, for 5 or 6 of the last elections. He's either topped, I think last year, the first time he got second, but he's topped the poll for the most preferred candidate in his own constituency. So obviously in Dunedin, he has strong public backing, but he's always been persona non grata with a good part of his council who lean very much left. Lean left, no, they're probably right now in Soviet Union still, even though the Soviet Union doesn't exist. Councillor Leah Vandervis, and he joins us now. Lee, I'm just going to try and get you on. I'll see if it works. Welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and good to hear that you are exposing LGNZ for the troughing organisation that it is. I have, since 2004, been trying to get the DCC to stop subsidising them. I must be one of the few councillors that's never ever gone to an LGNZ conference and never will. They are, as you say, absolutely useless and a blight on the ratepayers.
They sure are, and they lean so far left that, yesterday, classic example, the Prime Minister giving them a bit of a message, and I think the message, I have to say, was not received. Listen, talking about not received, though, Lee, you've been in trouble so often in Dunedin for having a different and sometimes often dissenting point of view, that certain members of your council keep on raising code of conduct complaints against you for the language that you use and the behaviour that you exhibit. The most recent one costing, I think, almost $11,000 or $12,000, in which you actually did something I never expected you to do, actually, which is apologise. Let's go back, shall we? You don't attend something called Te Pae Māori, which is some sort of, I don't know what it is. Can you explain what Te Pae Māori is in Dunedin, please?
Te Pae Māori, I thought, was the local Māori elite who have their meetings at various marae around Dunedin and invite city councillors to come along to join them. What I didn't know up until very recently is that every single member of the Dunedin City Council had in fact become a member of Te Pae Māori. I was the only one that hadn't, and I was the only one that refused to go to Waiata singing school and go through all the other protocols that are required of councillors before they can enter onto a marae safely, as they say.
So is it a committee of your organisation? Has it been elected or something, has it?
I don't think so. No, my understanding is that it's just one of those things that we're expected to do as a consultation idea. There are various resolutions that the DCC have made over a long time now to incorporate the Treaty of Waitangi into everything we do at the DCC. More recently, that has fallen by the wayside. The Treaty of Waitangi no longer does it. It has to be Te Tiriti, the Maori version of it, and the Maorification of everything really has become a necessity, which I have just simply resisted. I haven't done anything outlandish, I don't think, in just highlighting the fact, if other people want to do this, that's fine, but I'm just not going to.
That's fair enough. So it's not an elected member. It's some sort of informal, or it might even be formal association between the Dunedin City Council. I imagine local iwi is it? Is it your local iwi leaders of Ngāi Tahu or something?
Look, it might be iwi, it might be runanga, it might be mana whenua. There's a whole lot of Maori words that keep coming up in our agendas, and I get a lot of stick for asking for these words to be translated so we can know what we're dealing with. The response by staff at the DCC has in the past been that, you can just go and look them up, all these words. Well, I don't think that's good enough. We had one, I think it was an MOU, a Maori Memorandum of Understanding, that once had 13 separate phrases and words that I had no idea what they meant. And again, I was invited to, look them up. Well, when I Googled them, and Google has quite a good Maori translation thing that it does, Google couldn't translate half of them. A lot of these words tend to be quite new and coming along, and I object to having to try and go and find the meanings of a lot of these words when you're trying to vote on something. And sometimes it could be, quite a substantial ratepayer investment in whatever it is we're voting on. So I constantly insist on proximate translations, that is to say, they're going to use a Maori word, that's fine, but let's have the English translation beside it so that we can know what it means. But then there are awkward concepts that mean things in Maori that don't seem to translate well into English. One of them is the idea of entitlement, acknowledgement. The one that I think has been the real sticking point has been ownership. How does ownership translate into Maori? Because that becomes quite fundamental to some of the problems that we have, especially dealing with property, for instance. Right.
There was an agreement, as I understand, signed between the Dunedin City Council and local Māori in 2022. It's something called Manatu Whakateaka Relationship Agreement, which determines and it set up this working party. Is that part of this?
I think so.
All right. Okay.